Hi, this is Mike Niami, Lean Sigma Black Belt. Today's theme is the measure phase, the second phase of DMAIC. DMAIC is the framework of Lean Sigma projects. In the define phase, we define our project. In the measure phase, the main objective is to understand the condition and situation of the target process numerically. The keyword is numerically. How can we achieve this? What we have to do first is to find CTQ. CTQ stands for critical to quality. That's still not very clear, so let me explain more. Even though you collect VOCs, voice of customers, they can't be used for process improvement as they are. VOC is words of people who receive the service or products. Words of people who give the service or products which are asked as CTQ. For example, let's assume that on-time delivery was VOC, then its CTQ would be how few the number of late deliveries. If variety of menu was VOC, how many average numbers of menu items per day would be CTQ. Now, I'll talk about quality in PMP, the Project Management Global Standard. There is a tendency in Japan that high quality and high functionality is better. PMP's quality is different from that. PMP's quality is how much your customer's requirements are fulfilled. There are two important points here. One is to identify the right customer group for the target process. The other is to understand the customer group's needs and requirements. Upon completion of those, your CTQ will be clarified naturally. Among the CTQs, identify the most impactful ones, which are vital few. When you discuss about CTQ in Lean Sigma, you would hear one formula, Y equal Fx. I may hear from you that this formula makes it more difficult. Y is CTQ, and what you do next is to find internal factors, the X, that directly influence the Y. Using the earlier example, if CTQ was how few the number of late deliveries, one of the internal factors, X, that is directly influence would be shipping out on time. Clarifying your company's Y equal Fx is extremely important. This X will become your company or department's KPI, key performance indicator. Furthermore, each employee's activity that directly relates to the X will become their KPI in the future. There's another thing you should do in the measure phase. It's to establish a measurement method for the X and Y if possible. Measure current level with method, and it becomes a benchmark to evaluate ongoing progress. This enables you to rotate an effective PDCA cycle in your project. Lastly, I would like to tell you one important precaution. Please be sure to discuss with your team if your Y equal Fx is really right and practical. I've heard about and seen many cases like the following. The PDCA cycle is very powerful, so if it's rotated with the wrong measurement, it surely fails. This episode may have been complex, so here is a summary of the measure phase. 1. Identify the most important CTQ from voice of customers. 2. The CTQ becomes Y. Find an internal factor, X, in the Y equal Fx. 3. Make a measurement method to evaluate Y and X if possible. Thank you very much for viewing. If you like my videos, please click the subscribe button. Thanks.